Hey, it's JJ Virgin, and welcome to the JJ Virgin Lifestyle Show, where I give you the latest cutting-edge intel to help you look, feel, and think better. And I do that because I hang out with some of the coolest, most interesting people in the world, and today's guest is definitely one of those. Her name is Dr. Jolene Brighten, and she is a member of my Mindshare community, and we were chatting it up one day, and what she was talking to me about blew my mind. So she is really the leader in something called post-birth control syndrome. And this is all of the things that the birth control pill can do to you. And more importantly, I thought, working with clients over decades, I knew that women who were on the pill were gaining weight, were depressed, were losing their sex drive. I never ever met someone who was on the pill and felt good, ever. But I thought that those symptoms went away and the problems with the pill went away when you went off the pill. And it turns out that that is not the case. And that things can persist, that damage can persist way long after. Now, here's the cool thing. We're going to talk all about that today. But more importantly, we're going to talk about what you can do. So if you've ever been on the pill, which I think is probably everybody listening, because I yet to meet someone who hasn't been on it at some point in their life, listen in, because she is going to give you some very important information on what you can do now to undo some of the damage that the pill has done. So let me tell you a little bit about Jolene before I bring her up. Dr. Jolene Brighten is a functional medicine naturopathic doctor. She's the founder and medical director of Rubus Health, a root cause women's medical clinic, where she specializes in the treatment of hormone disorders, including adrenal and thyroid conditions and autoimmune disease. She's a best-selling author, speaker, and the creator of Rubus Pelvic Care. In her patient-centered clinic, she thrives on navigating the space between conventional and alternative medicine, all while working with patients to help them achieve optimal balance, health, and happiness. She's a best-selling author, speaker, certified yoga instructor, daily meditator, urban homesteader, and a mother to an awesome, beautiful boy. And Dr. Jolene Brighten is also the owner of the most amazing hair I've ever seen in my life. So be sure to check out the podcast cover and you will see what I'm talking about there. So I'm super excited to have Dr. Jolene Brighten on today. Her energy is off the charts. She's going to tell you her secret as to how that is. She shares that at the end, so be sure to stay tuned for that. And again, today's guest is Dr. Jolene Brighten. All right, let's do it. Dr. Jolene Brighten, welcome to the show. I am so glad you're here with me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to dive into with you today.
I know. Well, I've been actually freaking out about this whole thing ever since you started talking about this. And I'm just still flabbergasted by the situation, because what we're about to talk about, everyone's like, what the heck are you talking about, JJ? But what we're about to talk about is something that, if you are a woman, I'm betting that this is going to be something that you've dealt with, and the situation is that you're still dealing with it. So I'm going to dive right in so people will know what we're talking about. We are going to talk about the birth control pill, and something that you are really at the forefront of. You were like, and I know you're so humble, but you are really one of the, if not the leading expert in this syndrome. I think you even coined this, and that's post-birth control syndrome. So we're going to dive into what that is and why you want to know about this, and more importantly, that you can do something about it. But before we get there, the birth control pill, because, I'm not currently on it, thankfully, because I think you'd be over at my house throttling me. I know that, I have some friends whose daughters are on it, and I'm like, don't do that, for all sorts of reasons. So how many women are currently taking this? How big of a problem is this?
Yeah, so it's kind of staggering when you dive into the statistics and recognize that 100 million women worldwide are users of the pill. And in America specifically, we see over 11 million women on the pill. And so, the estimates usually fluctuate between 10 and 11 million. It's really ubiquitous in our culture, right? As women, I know in the generation that I grew up in, there was a solution, to every hormonal symptom. And it was just this single solution called the pill. pill and it could just make everything go away, right? And that's why, we see that more than 60% of women who are on the pill are taking it for things other than pregnancy prevention.
Yes. I mean, that's what I was just thinking of is the people, the girls I know, either they're lying to their parents, but what they are on it for is skin problems.
Yeah. So acne is, what's really interesting is acne and PCOS related symptoms. So polycystic ovarian syndrome is one of the number one reasons we'll see women offered the pill. And the reason they're offered this is because they're growing hair in places they don't want it. So, chin, chest, belly, nobody wants that. Hair on their head is disappearing. So that's also troublesome. And then they're experiencing acne and irregular periods. So their doctor comes in with this pill and says, hey, I've got the magic fix for you. Just take this every day and you'll have a regular period, where in reality, you won't have a regular period. You'll have a withdrawal bleed that's very different than a regular menstrual cycle. And the problem is that you can mask those symptoms all day long, but honey, once you stop that pill, they are coming back with a vengeance. Not because your body's betraying you, but because basically what's happening is your body hasn't been able to tell you that it's had a problem for as long as you've been on that pill. And it's finally getting an opportunity to speak up and say, hey, we've got a big issue here. But definitely the use for acne, I mean, if you think about it for 14-year-old girls, their brain just figured out how to talk to their ovaries. And the first thing you want to do is disrupt that communication with exogenous hormones, not even give them the chance to establish their hormones, all in the name of better skincare, which we know there's a million different ways to get to better skin, and it doesn't include a pharmaceutical.
Well, the other one, and I'll never forget this, I was sitting at the corner of the pool, and there it is. Dave Asprey's wife's calling.
That's funny. I was just on Dave's podcast last week.
We're just talking. She wants to chime in. I'm sure she has some things to say about
totally.
So I was sitting at the edge of the pool, and these women were talking about hot flashes and feeling bitchy and all that. And one of them said, yeah, my doctor put me on Premarin and the birth control pill. And another one goes, my doctor did too. And I'm thinking, and I'm sitting there thinking, you can chime in here and then you will lose your whole pool time. Yeah. Should I go jump into this water or should I just get out of the pool?
Right. So women get fiercely protective over the birth control pill. And I'll out myself. I used the pill for over a decade, and thank goodness I had it because I didn't get pregnant and I could be the first generation college graduate in my family. And I became a doctor. So, I've got oodles of, gratitude for the fact that I had a method that kept me from conceiving. But when it comes to the perimenopause and postmenopausal women, I mean, there's a lot of ways that a disservice is being done in women's health every time a doctor reaches for the pill for anything other than pregnancy prevention. But when it comes to our perimenopausal and postmenopausal women, if we stand back and we look at what's really going on, there's a decline in the hormones overall. But who starts the decline? Well, it's progesterone. So most women who are raging or they're feeling really irritable, really bitchy, those kinds of symptoms, that's estrogen dominance for the most part. That's it. You don't have enough progesterone to stimulate your GABA, to chill you out. And now what does your doctor do? But they offer you this pill, which is even more estrogen dominance. And now we get into big trouble because that is the sweet spot in terms of our risk factors for breast cancer and some of these other estrogen dependent cancers. And so that's one lens we have to look at that through. But another is, well, what about this woman's libido? I mean, how many women do you know that complain about a declining libido with age? And it's kind of a drag because, you finally aren't going to get pregnant and now you don't have any interest in sex. This is a fundamental flaw of the pill, by the way, is that we know that it lowers women's libidos. And not only does it lower women's libidos, but it changes the genetics of your liver for life. And this is what they're... Hello? For liver for life, right? Yeah. So you will always have higher levels of sex hormone binding globulin. That's exactly what it sounds like. It is binding your sex hormones. So now, bye-bye testosterone. And ladies, if you don't have testosterone, it's not just about crashing your libido. It's going to crash your mood. It's going to crash your bones. Hello, osteoporosis. And you're not going to love life. You're not going to be motivated at all. So, when we come in with the pill, it is, ladies, you are not as simple as just a birth control pill. It's very nuanced here. You also need DHEA, Where is that coming from? Your adrenal glands. Who likes to beat up on the adrenal glands? But the birth control pill. So now we don't have enough DHEA. Now we've got brain fog. We can't even recruit any more testosterone. It's a big issue, especially in our perimenopause and postmenopausal women. And to me, it's one of the greatest disservices doctors do is they just say, oh, you're having hot flashes and that just sounds like a drag. Here, just take the pill and just go from there. When we can be so much more, I call it biohacking hormones. We can be so much more nuanced in taking the individualized approach to women's health and hormone therapy. They don't need a junk pill that's depleting their nutrients and sabotaging their thyroid. They need an individualized root cause resolution to their health. Does that make sense?
I'm just thinking as you're talking about this of all the years, especially when I used to work one-on-one with people with weight loss. And actually, when I was on Dr. Phil, we had a couple of the challengers who were on birth control pills, and they just weren't, it's like the people on the pill, they didn't lose weight.
Yep.
They were depressed.
Yep.
Didn't lose weight, no sex drive, depressed.
Yeah.
And so what the next step was that they got? They got an antidepressant to go next.
Right. And that makes you gain more weight.
Yeah, exactly. Then you really don't lose weight and you really don't have a sex drive.
Yeah. And then you have no emotions whatsoever. So now you don't even get to feel the world.
Yeah, you're just a flatliner. I was thinking as you were talking about all this, did I ever meet anyone in all the years of people on the pill who felt better being on the pill? And I honestly can't think of anybody that was like, that everyone carried around extra weight. And I didn't ever meet anyone that was like, gosh, I feel so good on this.
Yeah, it's so true. And if you look, for example, there was a huge study that came out in JAMA and it was, 1 million women. The study looking at depression, it showed there was a correlation. And what happened next? We saw the blatant dismissal that, oh, no. Okay, hello, women have been complaining about depression since the 1960s when you started handing out that pill. And we've been complaining since, ever since. And however, it gets dismissed in conventional medicine pretty rapidly. And even researchers will, try to poke holes in everything because heaven forbid we actually have some real talks about the birth control pill. But when we stand back and we look, what really gets me is the medical gender bias that really exists. When you look at the male birth control pill, with less than 5% of men reporting depression, it was pulled. The trial was stopped because that was deemed unacceptable for a man. But in the same quarter, an IUD was released with over a 20% presentation of depression in those women. Women were leaving the trial because they couldn't handle the depression, and that was pushed to market. That was deemed completely acceptable for women to have a depression rate almost 4 times what men were experiencing.
So here's what scares me the most about all this. I got to tell you, in talking to you, is I just figured, okay, we know what it does. I've seen it enough times. But I figured once you pulled someone off the pill, that it was cool, right? That, okay, you pulled them off the pill. They, did some flaxseed meal. Maybe they did, they a lot of fiber and they recovered it. And I did not realize that 10 years later, 15 years later, there could still be issues from it.
Yeah, it's something that, research hasn't even begun to dig into this. And what's the motivation, right? We've got to stand back and ask that question. Who does the burden, I'm doing air quotes, of pregnancy fall on? But women. And they know they kind of got us with this, right? They kind of got us. We don't want to get pregnant. We can totally acknowledge the pill has helped, in women's, in terms of us being able to be CEOs of companies. We are seeing transformations that can be credited to our access to these reproductive technologies is what we can call them. But the deal is that we know for some of the research that we're seeing genetic changes happening. That means your liver is now making more proteins that not only bind your sex hormones, but they bind thyroid hormone, they bind cortisol hormone. So we're living in an epidemic of women with hypothyroidism and adrenal symptoms, not to mention autoimmune disease, which there's definitely a link with that and the pill, that we've got to stand back and ask, what is this pill actually doing? And I've got to say that clinically, I have yet to see a woman come off the pill and there not be some kind of lingering symptoms. In post-birth control syndrome, we typically see symptoms arise anywhere to 4 to 6 months after discontinuing the pill. And so most doctors are dismissing this because you stopped it and maybe 3 to 6 months later, you're having symptoms and they're like, that can't be related. And it's not true, actually. In fact, there is good research out there supporting that there are these changes that happen. And so, these symptoms can be, as drastic as a total loss of your period and it never comes back, which, might sound nice to some women. But remember, we want to keep those nice estrogen, progesterone levels around for our heart and our brain and our bones.
Nice is right up until you have a heart attack, your bones thin, and you look like you're 100.
Totally.
50,
Yeah, absolutely. But, it can be that drastic, or it can be as benign as having like acne and hair loss, which does not sound benign, ladies. I totally get it. But like when we stand back and we think about it, like on the grand scheme of things, you don't really have to have hair to survive. Your body knows that there's hats and there's sweaters out there, but you definitely need to have your other organs to survive. So this is a really important and smart compensation your body makes. So, I just want to say, don't get me wrong, acne and hair loss is terrible, but the pill can actually cause a whole lot of more damage in your body that's actually way more concerning than those things, although they are telling us there's an underlying problem. But at this point, there's a whole lot of evidence, and if you talk to clinicians, I'm talking to clinicians and teaching them, and they are all echoing. When I bring this up, they're like, wait a minute. They go through their chart notes, and sure enough, I'm getting emails and messages and phone calls from other practitioners who are like, I am seeing post-birth control syndrome, and I am seeing it in every patient who comes off the pill. What do I do about this now?
So that's the question. As you were telling me this before, I'm like, oh my gosh, all right, this makes sense, but now are we doomed?
Yeah, so we're not doomed. So this is the thing, like I actually, when I got into working with this, it's really funny because I was like, I don't ever want to really work with birth control pills. But what I found in my practice is women would be on the pill and, we would get them like maybe 70 to 80% better. And it wasn't until, it's exactly what you're saying. It wasn't until they pulled the pill that the weight came off, their energy came up, their gut finally healed. And so with that being said, I want you guys to know I've like developed protocols all around this. You can absolutely heal this. And that the amount of time it's going to take can really vary. But the number one thing that I've seen that's a complete game changer and really catalyzes like the harmony and the balance of hormones to get things moving is doing a like doctor or professional grade 21-day detox to your liver. And why I say that is because we know that the pill is having it's having far-reaching effects throughout the entire body, including nutrient depletions. And doing something like giving your liver some love. Now, don't get me wrong, you cannot just take supplements and think this is going to go away. There are diet and lifestyle changes that have to go along with this as well, which include like getting sleep and reducing your stress. And a big thing you talk about is those food sensitivities. You cannot have those foods or sugar and those things coming into play if, you're trying to recover from this. But what I found is that if women can really give that liver a lot of love, that can help them expedite the clearance of the estrogen, which has been problematic. Your liver is involved in converting thyroid hormones. So there's a lot of things this does in the digestive tract and the body overall that can help just press the reset button for you. And it's what I find is that I'll take women through these 21 days. And it's after that I stand back and I say, okay, so what's left? Like, what do we really need to work on here? Majority of women are going to have to go through a leaky gut protocol. We know the birth control pill is one of the main pharmaceuticals we take that causes intestinal permeability, so leaky gut. And when that's present, we are looking at risk for food sensitivities and autoimmune disease and inflammation, brain fog. The list just goes on with that. And so majority of women are going to need to take care of their gut as well in one fashion or another. And, the big thing that I really want to drive home is that if you can be doing all of the yummy lifestyle stuff, but also getting yourself on a great adaptogenic adaptogenic herb, something like maca or rhodiola, to help those adrenal glands along, that can really help, especially if your ovaries have called it quits and they're all done. That adrenal support can really help with your overall hormonal status, especially because once we go into menopause, it's our adrenal glands that we lean upon to give us hormones and to support us through the rest of our life. They can totally do that. They can have you covered, but you have to show them some love. And the birth control pill did anything but show your body some love with regards to, just the far-reaching impacts. But, that was kind of my quick overview there. But any questions about that? Does that make sense?
It's, what I love so much about this is these are the topics I look for, because it's one that people kind of know, wow, I did that and it didn't feel so great, but they don't realize that it could do some long-term damage. And more importantly, now that you're aware of this, now you know that it can actually be turned around. And I know you have this post-birth control syndrome diet. Is that the thing that you're giving everyone who's listening?
Absolutely. So everyone, yeah.
I'm reading this going. Is that what it is? So jjvirgin.com / and I'm going to do it a little different. PBCS for post-birth control syndrome. And it's, again, jjvirgin.com PBCS. We'll have that in the show notes. But that will help you get on that program to start detoxifying these things. And as you heard, if you're on the pill now, this is something to start to look at, because you're not addressing the root cause of what the issue was. If it's a skin problem or hormone fluctuation, the pill doesn't fix that. It just band-aids it. You can recover from being on the pill, but it takes focus. So this is where you start. And I want to throw something at you, Jolene.
Go for it.
So what's the one thing you do every day that you feel makes the biggest difference in your life?
Oh, I didn't do it today, and I noticed. I meditate every day, and today I didn't. And I actually was talking to my resident that I'm training right now in all of this birth control management, because there's not a lot of people who know about this. But I was telling her, I feel like my neurons are just like misfiring in a scattered way, in terms of, what was going on in the morning. So I actually had to take on my lunch break and do just a 5-minute little meditation session. And that made me coherent for this interview. So I just say that was my big aha this morning of like, you cannot miss this.
Well, we appreciate that you did that for us. You're definitely on fire here. So it worked, my friend. You're awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me. And again, everybody listening, the deal is here. Yes, I know some of the stuff you're listening to is scary. And you know what? That's good, because it should make you go, crap, I did that and I can do something about it. And again, the whole point here is that we've got to take personal responsibility for our health. We've got to figure out what the real cause of whatever is going on is. And right now, if you have been on the pill and you haven't actively helped detoxify it out of you, time to get started on that. So again, grab Dr. Jolene's PBCS diet. That's post-birth control syndrome diet at jjvirgin.com / PBCS. I super appreciate you giving that to everybody. That's just fabulous and very generous.
Absolutely. So. Yeah. Well, I can't come on here and say, hey, it did some damage and then just drop people. And then not everyone can come see me. So I'm like, do this thing today, and you'll start noticing changes. And whatever comes out of that is information you need to write down. That is very valuable data for your doctor. And if your doctor doesn't know what to do with it, then you need a second opinion. You need a different doctor, because ladies, what you experience every single day in your body and what's going on with your hormones is seriously the secret sauce that helps us troubleshoot how to heal your body for good.
Yeah. So band-aiding that doesn't help anything.
Absolutely not.
That is fantastic. Now, after the break, I'm going to be answering a listener's questions. So stay with me.
One of the number one reasons people have food intolerances is due to a leaky gut. But when taking out the offending foods and replacing them with healing foods isn't working fast enough for you, what can you do? This is where JJ Virgin's Leaky Gut Support Formula comes in. This blend of therapeutic nutrients promotes proper intestinal function, helps heal ulcers, reduces inflammation, and supports regular bowel function. If you're struggling with gas and bloating, food intolerances, or any other digestive unrest, visit jjvirgin.com / products today and give JJ's Leaky Gut Support a try.
Welcome back. This is the time where I answer a listener's question. And today's question comes from Sarah in Greensboro. And she says, JJ, my life is really going well, but I can't understand why I just get depressed seemingly for no reason. What can I do? And of course, you know, I always look for those questions that fit in well with the topic at hand. And so this is a really good fit for hormone balance. We talked a lot today about depression, but I want you to always consider when something's going on, looking for why that's happening. And with depression, when everything seems to be going right and you can't really figure out why, you're just kind of feeling and down. One of the things that happens for both men and women, men's testosterone goes down, women's estrogen goes down, and they can feel a little depressed. Both those are natural, kind of nature's antidepressants. So if you're heading into menopause for women or andropause for men, that could be one of the key issues. And for women, I put together the product EstroCare to help get your hormones, help support hormone balance. So there's one. Now, some of the other things that can help here, really important to have good healthy fats in your diet. And, you know, especially lately, they've just been blasting fat again. And it just makes me nuts because your brain is over 60% fat. You need DHA fat there for all your synapses to fire and talk and work correctly. And so it's super important to have good healthy fats in your diet, especially omega-3 fats. So one of the things that can help here is supplementing with fish oil. Of course, eat some good clean wild fish and then take some good healthy fish oils as well. And then a couple other things that can be super important here. Keeping your blood sugar balanced and eating a low sugar impact diet. One of the things that can really create brain inflammation, slow down your brain and make you feel depressed is eating a high sugar impact diet, because it will keep you running back for more to get that dopamine hit to trigger your reward center. And it will also cause serotonin depletion, like stress will. Managing stress is another key one. Now, you mentioned you didn't really see a reason for this. So if you aren't stressed, then great. But if you are feeling stressed, one of the things you can do to help lower stress hormones that I love is tapping. And check out my podcast with Nick Ortner, where I talk about tapping and how to do it. And he actually, I always say, don't listen to that podcast in the car, because he's going to walk you through how to tap. And then the other thing that can help, and this is the most underutilized, fastest antidepressant I know, and that is exercise and high intensity interval training specifically. Can give you a great fast burst of endorphins, of natural opioids that will make you feel a lot better faster. We always love feeling better fast. All right. Now, one of the things that can make you feel better fast is gratitude. So this is the time in my show where I say thank you for someone who has taken the time to write a review. And just so you know, our whole team reads these reviews. We hugely appreciate this. So it makes us really, really happy. So this one is from Eric Bison in the USA. Highly recommend. We got 5 stars. And he says, JJ and her guests share inspiring and actionable insights and lessons on how to achieve overall health and wellness in your life. Highly recommend listening and subscribing if you want to achieve long-term success with looking and feeling your best. Thank you, Eric. Super appreciate it. And super appreciate all of you for joining me today. If you heard something that you went wow over, and I know we had like some kind of crazy information today, and you know that it will help someone, please share it on over to them. It's one of the best gifts you could give someone else. And also, I want to remind you that all of this information is only useful if you use it. So grab something that you heard today and take action on it. All right, and if it scares you a little bit, all the better. Okay, this is JJ Virgin signing off, and I will see you next time.